All right, thank you, Ashley. Nice to be with you today. On Org Guide Learning, we have about a half an hour, so we're going to move somewhat fast. But thanks for joining us. Just a quick sort of intro. That's me, and I'm going to turn my camera on just briefly, just to say hi. That's me. I have oftentimes have issues with my audio and latency when I have my video on. So I'm going to say hi, and then I'm going to go off video. You guys are not necessarily here to see me. You're here to see Org Guide Learning. So that's what we're going to focus on today. I've been doing PeopleSoft work for many years, and most of that has been as an employee doing support, training, rollouts with different organizations. And I never had a tool like Oracle Guided Learning to help me with that training and support. Now that I've seen this now as part of the consulting world, I wish I would have had this when I was an employee. It would have been a game changer. So with Spear MC, I lead a bunch of our different groups, but today we're focusing on Oracle Guided Learning. And just real quick, I'm going to, Tarun, if you don't mind, I'll just sort of introduce you. Tarun did a great session yesterday talking about chatbots and OGL integration there. Tarun leads our OGL efforts, doing training and a bunch of different things that we do with our development of our starter kit and a bunch of different things. So Tarun's here to answer any questions that may come up that I can't answer. All right, so let's do a quick intro of Spear MC. Again, like I said, you guys are here to see OGL, so this we're going to focus on today. We're going to do a demo of that, but I'm going to just do a quick intro of us and then OGL, and then we'll get right into the demo. So Spear MC is a Gartner recognized vendor, Oracle specialized, and we have our SOC 2 certification as well with respect to what we do around security for our managed service customers and how we sort of embed that in everything we do. We're happy to have all these recognitions, but we really focus on our sort of cross section of supporting you as a customer through our relationships with Oracle, whether that's from a licensing perspective, Apps Unlimited, your technology footprint with OCI reps and that type of thing. The Paco and Rebecca's groups leading the product strategy, but also the key relationship is with Customer Success Services, formerly known as ACS, formerly known as Oracle University. All of that's rolled into CSS now. We have a really long-standing relationship with them as being a PeopleSoft trainer. We've been doing PeopleSoft training for many years. It's just one aspect of what we do, but that's led to a very good relationship with CSS. And when Oracle needed somebody to take Oracle Guided Learning out to the PeopleSoft community, they selected us as the go-to partner for that. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but that's just based on our legacy of sort of empowering our customers through education in PeopleSoft. We do a little bit of all PeopleSoft. We're not just training, of course, managed services, consulting services, all sorts of stuff. Our embrace of emerging technology, as well as our sort of having PeopleSoft training in our DNA, led to that relationship forming and really looking at us to be the exclusive partner for Oracle Guided Learning for PeopleSoft. Just a quick sort of plug for our different sessions. Feel free to go back and get the decks on any of these sessions. Hopefully you attended some of them. We, as we pointed out in previous sessions for OGL, we do have 3 sessions on OGL. One was a customer panel on Tuesday. Tarun led a great session yesterday talking about the integration of chatbots with OGL. And then, of course, we have the demo today. I would just say, generally, if you like what you see with the demo and you want to get more information, we do the demos for Oracle. So when a lead comes in related to OGL for PeopleSoft, Oracle is bringing us, of course, into that mix. And then I'm actually doing the demo. Tarun sometimes fills in for me, that type of thing. But we are actually the ones that are doing the demo. We do the resell. We do all of that. So if you want to know more about OGL or see it live or ask questions, have more of an interactive session, that's what we do. So just ping me, just reach out to me. I've got my contact information here as part of the deck. You can get me on the website, all that. So just reach out, and we're happy to do these sessions privately for you, so you can get a little bit closer look and ask questions. We are, as I mentioned, heavy into training, and we've got some training coming up for query, open search dashboards, and sysadmin. We also have we're doing query sessions, of course, across all pillars. So the ones here coming up are for HCM, but then we're doing financials and campus in the new year, along with a bunch of other classes we're going to be doing. So reach out, sign up on the website, that type of thing if you want, if you're interested in any additional training. Okay, so let's talk about OGL. So really quickly, just to introduce the topic, digital adoption. What is a digital adoption platform? Well, they're all around us. I say they're hiding in plain sight. It's whenever we're interacting with a technology, with an application or whatever, and have some sort of messaging that's trying to indicate something about the application, maybe something that's changed or something that wants to tell me about the application. So here, this is an iPhone, of course, looking at the weather app or the mail app and seeing that there's new information. Maybe this was after an iOS upgrade, and saying, hey, there's more information about this, weather. You can get daily weather information, or did you know that you can send this email later by holding down the send button? So very small little snippets of information that's helping me understand how to use the application. This is called the digital adoption platform. It's essentially a no-code software that sits on top of the application you're working with to help the user understand how to use it with walkthroughs, task lists, smart tips, that type of thing. The messaging really is the key there. How do you help people understand the application without sort of making them come through what we would consider traditional training? Look away training that requires them to sit down, go through a manual, maybe come to a session and memorize how to do everything in PeopleSoft and then go do it. That really isn't the norm anymore for technology. And we're seeing that with OGL and other digital adoption platforms that are really sort of saying, you know what, people don't really want to be trained anymore. They just want help real time. And that leads, of course, to all of, when people just want that help real time without a tool like OGL, of course, is leading to just tons of support tickets coming into your help desk, or the types of how-to type questions that really are the main driver of help desk volume. And so a tool like this is really designed to really lower that type of question. Here you can see some screenshots. We're going to do this demo here live for you. But really the idea with OGL is that it's really supposed to be embedded in your application for in-application guidance. So this is not a copy of your database. It's not a test database or a training database. This is your real production database. So it's going to lead to that productivity immediately from day one. And really, like I said, it's really designed to reduce support and training costs. So the cost that it takes to support your users, to answer those how-to calls, that type of thing, it's really designed to sort of eliminate that if it can, or vastly reduce those tickets that are coming in. There's lots of different sort of aspects to this. So I'm going to stop here. I'm going to pause. I'm going to get into the actual demo. And as we go, feel free to ask questions in the chat. Tarun will be moderating that and asking questions if anything comes up. All right. Here you can see my PeopleSoft application. I'm in a financials application. And if you notice, somewhat, if you're familiar with the Fluid application, Fluid interface with homepage and tiles, this should look somewhat familiar. But there are a couple things that are a little bit different. For one, we've got the widget right here, which is our training center that has all of our guides that we can put into the OGL application that sits on top of PeopleSoft. Now, this can be our library of guides that we want to make available to our users. So if they want to look up something like how to do a query, they can type that in and get immediately set up with the guides that are related to query, how to build a query, how to run a query, how to understand a query administration. All of the guides that are available here in the library are set to a couple of things. They can be activated based on where you're at in PeopleSoft. So right now I'm on the home screen of PeopleSoft, so I have all these guides available. They also can be linked to things like security, so your PeopleSoft roles. So let's say you only want to present certain guides to certain people, you can control that with PeopleSoft security as well. So all of that's available in your training center, but think of this library as sort of a better version of what we already have, which is this idea that a user, if they know they need help, they will reach out and get that help, whether that help is through a SharePoint with your guides, whether it's through a UPK tool or some other kind of training repository, they can reach out and get that help. But the real power of OGL is that you don't have to just sit and wait for the user to engage with the help. As an OGL administrator, as a support or training administrator, you actually can push information to people. And so let's take a look at that. Instead of just sort of saying the user is going to go pull information, we can push it to them. So for example, right here, we've got smart tips that can be aligned on any page and still activated for any reason. The activations could be something as simple as every time somebody comes to this page, or we have a new field after a PUM update and we want to let people know about that field. And so if they simply hover over that little question mark, they get a little bit of information about what that new field is, or sort of giving them more information. Now, this information could be simply informational, or it could actually lead them to actually engaging with a further learning sort of element, like here. Did you know you can do these things with search? Maybe you didn't know. Click here to learn more about search. So there's this sort of like proactive sort of pushing information to people, and that can be, again, based on different activation conditions. So I'm going to go ahead and kick this off, and I'm going to learn more about search. So as I click into this, it's now going to offer me sort of a process guide that walks me through different elements of this specific functionality. Of course, this could have been on different elements like a different kind of core process. It could be on an end user process. It could be in anything that's going to help walk somebody through from start to finish how to do something. But in this case, this is going to be a guide that's going to help me understand more about search. I'm going to go ahead and click on next. You'll notice that there's got kind of a header information with the ability to put in kind of a logo with a header, all this kind of stuff. We have the ability to manipulate how this messaging has look, from a look and feel perspective. But I'm going to go ahead and click on next. You'll see that now it links up to a very specific field here, which is this menu field. And this messaging is now tied to that specific field on the screen. And of course, as things move around on the screen, this messaging is then tied to that field, wherever that field exists. So it's telling me a little bit about it. It's telling me to go ahead and click on this. You'll notice there's no next button. It's actually asking me to do something like click on a button. So when I click on that button, it knows I clicked on the button and it automatically takes me to the next step, as opposed to a guide that is not smart, that just sort of sits there and makes the user go next, next, next. In this case, it actually knows that I clicked on what's called the element, and it took me then to the next step. In this case, it's saying, okay, it's drawing my attention down with this beacon, this red pulsating beacon that says, hey, for AP related content, click on AP, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Again, there's no next button. I'm going to click on AP. And now it says, okay, go ahead and enter a search word like mid-10. You'll notice now that the next button is available because it doesn't know when I'm done with that search. So as an OG administrator, as I write this tool, this guide, it can be based on how we want to set that up. So if we want to have the next button, if we don't want to have the next button, that's all available through the setup of these guides. I'm going to click on next. Notice it's now again drawing my attention down to the search results here. I'm clicking next again, click through this. Say, okay, now go ahead and switch back to menu. So I've just taught the user that they can search for content by putting in a word like mid-10, which relates to a vendor. Now we're going to switch back to menu, and I'm going to click on next. And now it says, yeah, go ahead and enter a word like voucher now. So I'm going to type in voucher, click on next. Now it says, yeah, so now pages related to vouchers is going to appear. I don't mention the word menu. I don't mention the word nav bar. I'm simply retraining the audience to say, yeah, your pages can be found through this search. So this is very subtly changing people's behavior with respect to how they interact with PeopleSoft. And with that sort of concept, we have this sort of tool now that allows us to really enforce better behaviors, or to empower a new set of users who are coming into our organization who don't really understand this whole menu and nav bar thing and don't know where things exist. This is going to be a better experience for people, so we can sort of subtly help people understand how to use search. So that's a very quick guide. It says, yep, so you're done. We always can link out with an email. If you want more information, go ahead and contact, help desk or somebody that's a little more specific. And we're going to go ahead and click done. And it offers us a feedback loop to say, what did you think about this? Do you want to give more information? Of course, all of this information goes into the analytics on the back end related to this tool that allows us to then look and get more information related to how people are interacting with these guides. I'm gonna go ahead and say no thanks for now, and I'm back using my application. So we have this idea that we've got the help desk, or sorry, the help center that has all of these guides. It's kind of a library. We've got the idea that we've got a smart tip. We also can just add those smart tips anywhere in the system. So like right here, we could, if let's say we added a new tile or a new page, this smart tip is a different way to show this information as opposed to having that little question mark. We can just have it as a hover. So in this case, here's a great example of how maybe people don't actually know what this tile is about. So we actually put this sort of information about what you can do with expenses. You can create an expense report. You can look at transaction activity. You can view notifications, that sort of thing. And again, that sort of offering to say, would you like to learn more? Would you like to engage with this and learn more about this? And a person could simply go, you know what? I would like to learn more, but not right now. I'm going to go ahead and click on this remind me later, which is just this little, checkbox to add this feature to each of your guides and say, yeah, I don't want to do this right now, but can you remind me tomorrow or next week? And then that guide will essentially go away and come back on that personalized schedule that the person wants it to come back for. Very similar to maybe something you've seen on banking websites or different applications that you've interacted with. So very easy to add that into your guides or response. We also have so we've got the idea of a help center that sort of is this thing that's out there that people can engage with. We have the idea of having sort of pop-up messages, but we also have the idea of messaging that can then, even in cases where the user didn't intend to engage with OGL, but we want somebody to know something. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this ePro tile right here. And what you'll see is when I go in here, there's going to be a messaging that pops up that welcomes me to this page. It says, hey, to become a requisitioner, please click here to understand more about the policy, or to be guided through how to create a requisition, click here. Again, the remind me later button. So if we think about this messaging, think about it in the sense that this now opens it up way beyond training. This is now your messaging tool to people as they interact with PeopleSoft. So this could be talking about, let's say the application's going down tonight for maintenance. Please save your work and get out. Maybe we're doing an update this week or this weekend, and by Monday, the system's going to look different. Maybe we want to give them a little preview of some of those changes that are coming. Maybe we're talking about open enrollment, and it's the first time they come in for open enrollment. We want to message something to them. Now, without this tool, we could still do that with PeopleSoft, but the way we did it is with things like event mapping and some kind of app designer object that created technical debt within PeopleSoft. With this tool with OGL, of course, we can do that without any technical debt in PeopleSoft. There is no app designer objects. There's nothing that actually sits within the context of PeopleTools. So other than a connector to the OGL, which is a one-time setup that connects to OGL, and that's it. There's no other code in PeopleSoft. So the ability to do these things, pop-up messaging, pop-up guides, we even can create activation conditions that says, if I see the user do X, I want to pop-up messaging and I want to control their experience. So what does that mean? What if the user's doing something that is constantly creating help desk tickets? Maybe they're closing out of a page or a web page or a modal window that they shouldn't be closing out of. Maybe they're not saving their work before they get out. There's different ways that we can control that now to say, hey, if they do this activity, we can capture this activation condition, we can pop up messaging, and we can prevent them from doing that bad thing, which is creating that problem. So it's a real game changer with respect to reducing support tickets with our ability to message, to prevent bad things. All of that is now available through this tool. Let me pause real quick. I see there's a chat. Tarun, are there any questions?
Nope, that's just me encouraging people to put questions in chat.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Okay, so we've got the idea of these guides. They're available. I can just quickly show you. I'll just quickly show you one of those ones. It's a query. just to show how that could work actually through the menu bar. So even on something like this, we're going to build a query. We're going to click on next. We're going to take the person up to the nav bar. So a lot of people, when they come into the fluid interface, they didn't know where the nav bar was. Where's my menu? That type of thing. So we can draw their attention up here. Clicking on that takes them into the actual nav bar menu. As my system slows down, of course, for this live demo, click on menu, and it's just drawing my attention right to the right spot. It takes me right to the right spot. Reporting tools tells me to click on query and then query manager. And just like that, I just have to click where it tells me to click, and I've just navigated 4 or 5 steps through the menu, which is always a challenge for some people in understanding where things are in the menu. And now we've got this sort of ability to now draw people's attention to say, go ahead and click on create new query. We're creating the new query. Now we're bringing them out back to a little splash tip that says, hey, this is what are we looking at here? Well, this is the records page, and it does this or that. It talks about how to look at records, that type of thing. So we're sort of spanning back between sort of a helpful information about a page to actually going and doing something like go ahead and enter this specific record into this. So I'm going to paste that in and click next. So we're sort of walking them through how to do a transaction. In this case, create a query. And we can click on add records, and it tells us now about the query page, and on and on. So this type of thing is really a game changer, of course, for all your typical training, even for training that we do. So I do, as I mentioned before, we do the query training. So a lot of that can now be embedded into these kinds of guides that can now walk people through how to do all sorts of different kinds of transactions in PeopleSoft. Okay, really quick, last thing I'll just show in here is that each of these guides, some people say, well, can I just see the guide? Can I see like what's called a job aid or a step guide? And the answer is quickly yes. If we simply look at the one we just ran using search, I can click on this right here and get right into the step guide, which actually shows me start to finish the entire flow of this guide. So it shows me screenshots, the messaging that shows up on each step. I can go all the way down to the end. I can see the entire step-by-step process. I can print this if I wanted to into PDF. I could email this guide to somebody, even if they don't have access to PeopleSoft. They could click on that link and see information, see this entire step guide. So all of that's available. It's built automatically for you. There's nothing more you have to author for these step guides. They're a companion built on what you are do as you build those guides. Those step guides are created automatically for you. The last thing I'll show really quick, I kind of skipped over here, was the idea of grouping multiple guides into what's called a task list. So this works really well in a situation where, let's say we do have a new user who's just logging into PeopleSoft for the first time. We know that again through activation conditions. It's the first time they've logged in, and we can actually offer them some things that we want them to do. Maybe we want them to understand a little bit more about search, or maybe we want them to set up preferences. Maybe we need them to enter contact information. So we not only can tell them to do these things with a step-by-step task list, but then clicking into those guides then helps them actually do those things like entering your contact information or whatever. So this is a task list. You'll notice that it's marked that one of these has been completed. That's the one we just looked at. And so when we do that, when the user completes all of these, this task list would then essentially go away. So it's a really nice way to sort of bring policy or requests that you make outside the system back into PeopleSoft and asking people to do things. And once they do them, they go away. The task list, of course, could also be used simply just to capture step-by-step instructions for a core group like benefits administration or employee onboarding or supplier onboarding. We could bring all of those sort of offline procedures or steps into a task list of guides that are here now embedded into PeopleSoft. Okay, got about 5 minutes left. I'm gonna log out of here and let me see, let me go do official sign out. And then I'm gonna get into the OGL tool itself and just a quick preview of how easy it is to build guides, to maintain guides, that type of thing. So I'm logging in. This is the OGL tool itself. It's a SaaS application that you subscribe to. And here we're looking at all of our individual guides, whether those are a smart tip, a process guide, a task list, all of that is available. I'm going to go ahead and enter search to find the one that we just were looking at, which was FSCM using search. I'm going to go ahead and click into this guide, which is the editor, which you'll notice it's now going to launch me into PeopleSoft. So let me log into PeopleSoft. And what's going to happen here as I log into PeopleSoft is now going to show me each of the steps that I have. Let me widen this screen just a little bit so you can see this a little better. And each of my steps is now available through this little toolbar that sits on top of my PeopleSoft application. Let me go ahead and click on the second step, which was this one that sort of drew my attention up here to the menu. I can quickly edit this tip in terms of content. I can change content. I have all sorts of abilities to put in tables and links, and I can even go from here into launching a different guide. I can change the target. Let's say I don't want it to be linked to this field right here. I want to change that target to a different area in PeopleSoft. Maybe I want to draw it over here to this field right here. So now my messaging is tied to this tile over here if I wanted to do it that way. I also have things like my settings, which have a whole bunch of ways of controlling the behavior in this messaging. So whether it's display settings, like if I want to allow the next button or I don't want to allow the next button, if I want to get rid of the close button, I don't want people to actually close this. I want to put in, maybe change the width of this guide. I want to do an offset where I don't want the guide to be, or the messaging to be right here next to this tile. I can do all sorts of different kinds of stuff with the display. In my activation conditions, now my activation settings, I can tell these steps to advance. If the user clicks on that element, it is actually going to take them to the next step. That's simply just a checkbox. You'll notice here there's no Java code. There's really nothing that you need to know other than understand how all of these checkboxes and make the behavior of these messages work. And then in my advanced settings, there's lots of different things that handle things like modal windows and all sorts of things that we train you on as part of buying OGL. So all of this is part of our settings. And of course, I'm going very fast this demo because I normally do this demo in about 90 minutes, but I'm doing it today for 30 minutes. So anyway, all of these settings are available, changes all of the behavior of these guides. And it really creates a pretty easy experience to actually create guides. All of our guides through what we call our starter kit are available that offer all of these guides through just a ton of content that you get to then use and modify for your purposes. I'm going to cancel out of there. I'm going to skip the analytics because we're running out of time. If you want to see the analytics that are embedded in here, again, reach out and I can do a more of a deep dive into this entire process and application. I'm going to stop sharing there and just kind of finish up with a couple of slides then on what we do as part of our work as the exclusive sort of partner on this. So as part of that relationship with Oracle, we offer two parts to that, which is the licensing, and I'm going to skip past some of these. So we've got the licensing, which we have value-added sort of services that are baked into the licensing itself. So we help you get it installed. We build some example guides for you to sort of show what OGL can do in coordination with how you think you might want to use it. We do some design standard work with you and try to embed your design standards into how OGL will look and feel for you. We do a training workshop. We run a special interest group with quarterly trainings, and then we do an annual optimization as well. As part of our ongoing service, managed services, then we have our starter kit. All of our pre-built content, we have over 200 guides per pillar, so 200 guides in HCM, 200 in financials, and we do custom content updates, delivery, and maintenance. We also then have a upgrade and PUM companion, so when you guys go to do your upgrades, we'll be there to update the guides on your behalf and make them available. We are also offering new guides that correspond to new functionalities. That's kind of where we're headed with this service as well. So all that's available as part of our relationship with Oracle as the designated partner for OGL for PeopleSoft. Lots of other stuff to talk about in terms of what we have in our starter kit and all sorts of stuff. Feel free to reach out for that. And I apologize, we ran right up to time, but are there any questions that I can answer? Tarun, are there any
So
questions?
there weren't any questions, but there was a good bit of information from Amanda, just noting that their organization has added some smart tips to open enrollment pages to share important benefit info, as well as one to the job opening page, reminding staff to review position data before creating a job opening, kind of to prevent issues downstream. So, maintaining policy and, keeping data consistent.
Great. I see one quick question about converting UPK to OGL. Yes, in fact, that's some of the first ones we did was converting UPK to OGL. I see the question from Hakeem. Reach out to me and we can talk more about that. And again, for everybody, if you want more information, I do this typically 60 minutes to 90 minutes. We do the full demo and with interactive questions, we talk through all of it in much more depth. Feel free to reach out. Here's my email address and you can email me. You can get me through the conference website as well if you want to go that way. But happy to be with you today, and I think we'll stop it there. Have a great rest of your conference. I guess the rest of the day, and take care. Thank you, everybody.